The virtual CISO moment is brought to you by vCISO Services. vCISO Services' mission and calling is to provide quality cybersecurity and information security consulting and expertise for small and mid-sized businesses. While they are a leading provider of qualified and experienced virtual CISOs, they offer much more. Check them out at vcisoservices.com. Hi, I'm Greg Schaefer, and welcome to the Virtual CISO Moment Wrap Up for Friday, May 5th, 2023. Dallas City Systems taken down by Royal Ransomware. This is from Dark Reading. Now, courts are closed, but police and fire rescues were unaffected during this ransomware attack. Dallas city government is still not fully functioning following the cyber attack by the Royal Ransomware Group. The city of Dallas did confirm the ransomware attack, but assured residents of police and fire, as I said before, those services will continue uninterrupted. Quote, Wednesday morning, the city's security monitoring tools notified our Security Operations Center, SOC, that likely ransomware attack had been launched within our environment. Now, subsequently, the city has confirmed that a number of servers have been compromised with ransomware, impacting several functional areas, including the Dallas Police Department's website, the city statement said. A Twitter user, Brett Callow, shared a copy of the ransom note, churned out of printers across the Dallas City network on the morning of May 3rd, threatening to leak data stolen from Dallas City systems. Quote, if you're reading this, it means your system were hit by Royal, the note read. It goes on to offer to keep the data stolen from the city of Dallas secret for a price, of course. City officials, meanwhile, said that they are, quote, currently working to assess the complete impact, but at this time, the impact of the delivery of city services to its residents is limited. The Royal Ransomware Group reportedly has roots in the now defunct Conti gang and has taken aim at healthcare sectors in the past. Now the group has turned its ransomware strain against Dallas. From the Hacker News, Cisco warns of a vulnerability in popular phone adapter and urges mitigation to a newer model. Now, Cisco has warned of a critical security flaw in SPA 12112 two-port phone adapters that it said could be exploited by a remote attacker to execute arbitrary code on affected devices. The issue is tracked as CVE-2023-20126. It's rated 9.8 out of a maximum of 10 on the CVSS scoring system. Now, the company credited Catalpa, of DPAP Security for reporting the shortcoming. The product in question makes it possible to connect analog phones and fax machines to a VoIP, voice over IP, service provider without requiring an upgrade. Okay, well, I wasn't sure what that device was for, so thank you, article. This vulnerability, quote, is due to a missing authentication process within the firmware upgrade function, the company said in a bulletin. An attacker could exploit the vulnerability by upgrading an affected device to a crafted version of firmware. A successful exploit could allow the attacker to execute arbitrary code on the affected device with full privs. Now, despite the security of the flaw, Cisco says it does not intend to release fixes due to the fact that those devices have already reached their end of life. This as of about 3 years ago, June 2020, upgrade your phones. It is instead recommending that users migrate to a Cisco ATA190 series analog telephone adapter, which is set to receive its last update on March 31st, 2024. There is no evidence that this flaw has been seen maliciously exploited in the wild. You know, it's kind of interesting. It begs the question. I'm sure this isn't the case with Cisco, but would there be temptation for a company to create a flaw for a vulnerability in order to get folks to upgrade from an end-of-life system? Surely not. At least I would hope not. We've got something about how to organizations rather are bracing for cyber attacks despite improved preparedness, and we'll get to that in 30 seconds. Bitdefender provides cybersecurity solutions with leading security, efficacy, performance, and ease of use to small and medium businesses, mid-market enterprises, and consumers. Guided by a vision to be the world's most trusted cybersecurity solutions provider, Bitdefender is committed to defending organizations and individuals around the globe against cyber attacks to transform and improve their digital experience. And please check on the link for Bitdefender in the show notes. It does help to keep this podcast going. We appreciate your support. HelpNet Security says that organizations brace for cyber attacks despite improved preparedness. Cyber risk levels have improved from elevated to moderate for the first time, but insiders represent a persistent threat to global organizations. This is according to Trend Micro. John Clay, vice president of threat intelligence at Trend Micro, says, quote, "For the first time since we've been running these surveys, we saw the global cyber risk index not only improve, but move into positive territory at 0.01 positive." Well, what does that mean? It means that organizations may be taking steps to improve their cyber preparedness. There is still much to be done, still in the quote here, as employees remain a source of risk. The first step to managing this, is to gain complete and continuous attack surface visibility and control. The Cyber Risk Index, CRI, found that cyber preparedness is improved in Europe and the APAC, but declined slightly in North and Latin America over the past 6 months. At the same time, threats declined in every region, bar Europe. I don't know if that's supposed to say bar Europe. Most organizations, the CRI rather found that most respondents said that it was somewhat to very likely they would suffer a breach of customer data, 70%, or intellectual property, 69%, or a successful cyber attack at 78%. These figures represent declines of just 1%, 2%, and 7%, respectively, from the last report. And then we don't have a list for today, but to end out this article, they do have their top 4 threats in that latest cyber risk index, so we'll count this as a list. Clickjacking, business email compromise, or BEC, ransomware, fileless attacks. Now, botnets replaced login attacks in 5th place. Infosecurity magazine reports Brightline hack exposes data of over 780,000 child mental health patients. Periodic mental health provider Brightline has warned patients that their data may have been compromised as a result of a breach related to a zero-day vuln in its Fortress Go Anywhere MFT secure file sharing platform. Quote from this notice: "Through its investigation, they identified a previously unknown vulnerability with an unauthorized party used to gain access to certain Fortra customers' accounts and download files, including ours." Now, Brightline said its investigation determined that the incident was limited to the Fortress service and did not impact its network. However, the data stolen from the breach included patients' confidential information. This potentially includes some combination of the following data elements: individuals' names, addresses, date of birth, member identification numbers, data health plan, coverage, and or employee names, according to the company's statement. Now, according to Bleeping Computer, these attacks were conducted by the Clop ransomware gang using the command injection vulnerability CVE 2023-0669. Ransomware gang hijacks university. This is also from Bleeping Computer here. The Avas ransomware gang hacked Bluefield University's emergency broadcast system called RAM Alert. to send students and staff SMS texts and email alerts that their data was stolen and would soon be released. Now, Bluefield University, for those unfamiliar, is a small private university in Bluefield, Virginia, with roughly 900 students. On April 30th, the university disclosed to students and staff that they had suffered a cyber attack that impacted the IT systems, causing all exams to be postponed. At the time, the university claimed that its investigation had found no evidence of any cases of financial fraud or identity theft linked to this incident. Faculty and students can safely use and access MyBU, Canvas, and library resources through the university's website, explained Bluefield University. However, the incident did take a nasty turn on May 1st, with the Avis threat actors still having access to the university's RAM alert system, an emergency alert system that's used to warn students and staff via email and text of campus emergencies and threats. Most universities have something like that. As first reported by WVVA, the ransomware gang used the RAM alert system to send both SMS and email alerts, warning that personal data was stolen and would be released if they didn't pay the ransom. It was, "Hello, students of Bluefield University. We're Avoslocker Ransomware." Not where, but war. "We hacked the university's network to exfiltrate 1.2 TB terabytes files." Now, additional alerts shared links and instructions on accessing the ransomware gang's data leak site to see further messages about the attack and any leaked data. The final message delivered to the hijacked system urged recipients to share the information with news outlets and threatened to publish all the information in case it didn't happen. Later that day, the ransomware gang did, in fact, release a limited amount of stolen data, including a W-2 tax form for the university president and a document related to their insurance policy. Now, Bluefield University did publish an update on the cyber attack, informing students and staff that the remediation and system restoration efforts are still underway, and they haven't found any indication of abuse of student data, which hopefully that will remain as is. Ars Technica, or Ars Technica, I'm not sure of the correct pronunciation. This is rather interesting and maybe a little disturbing. They say that Google will retire the HTTPS padlock icon because nobody knows what it means. I thought at first April Fool's was last month, but no, this article was dated this week. Now, apparently, Google says that only 11% of users understand the precise meaning of the lock icon. One of the biggest advantages in web security over the last decade or so is the proliferation of secure encrypted HTTPS communications. For those who are too young to remember, they used to not be encrypted over port 80, HTTP, no S. Once the purview of shopping and banking sites, the HTTPS connections have become the norm rather than the exception, keeping more of your credentials and data safe from being intercepted, even when you're on public or insecure networks. It's very rare to find a website that is not HTTPS anymore. Now, again, the article does note that browsers going all the way back to the Internet Explorer have used a small padlock icon to denote that a connection is using HTTPS. But according to the team behind the Chromium browser engine, most people still don't know what the padlock icon really means. I find that hard to believe. This is a fundamental part of many information security awareness training, basic awareness training. We always say in those things, look for the lock icon. And because of that confusion, and because HTTPS is now expected for most sites, Chromium will retire the padlock icon starting with Chrome 117. That will be released in September. It's going to have this neutral indicator, which is supposed to prevent the misunderstanding that the lock icon is associated with the trustworthiness of a page. And this emphasizes security should be the default state in Chrome. Now, in the desktop versions of Chrome, the padlock icon will be replaced by a tune icon, a couple of circles and a couple of lines meant to represent the toggle switches you encounter in many setting screens. I'll have to tell you, I looked at the icon and it confused me, but then again, I sometimes can be easily confused. So we'll see what happens with this. The things that you can find are things you can click on the current padlock icon, so the lock icon will change, but the functionality behind it, if you clicked on the lock icon right now, it'll still be there with the new icon. Personally, I would suggest leaving it alone, but that's just my thought. And that's it for today, and that's it for this week from Studio 2A. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back on Monday with the Quick Strike, and also on Tuesday, we're going to have a very interesting conversation with Synomi founder David Primore. If you're not familiar with Synomi, check it out. And once again, if you could, check out the link to the Bitdefender. Bitdefender offers some very interesting and good products, and that helps keep this podcast going. So have a wonderful weekend, and until Monday, stay secure.